Dear learners, welcome. The purpose of this video is to improve your listening skills, and it helps you understand the story by providing vocabulary. There are also some comprehension questions and a quick competition that you can answer. By the way, enjoy this video, and I hope you like the story. Okay, let's begin. Island of the Blue Dolphins by Scott Odell. Vocabulary Review. Chapter 9. Fill. To put or pour something into a container or space until it is full. Belong. To be in the relation of a member, inhabitant, etc. Repeat. To do, say, or experience something again. Chest. The front part of the body between the neck and the abdomen, enclosing the heart and lungs. Also, a large box with a lid used for storage. Seem. To give the impression or appearance of being a certain way, to appear or look like something. Sign language. A system of communication using visual gestures and signs, primarily used by deaf or hard of hearing individuals to communicate. Step. To move one foot after the other in a deliberate manner, often in a particular direction. Hurt. To cause physical or emotional pain or injury to oneself or someone else. Chapter 9. To talk. The Aloyd's tents were in the same place as before. It was not far from my cave. I was frightened when I saw their fires. I know that the men will not discover me, I said to myself. They are always hunting or working on the beach. But I am afraid of the girl. She will walk around the island. She will look for plants in the ravine. If she comes to the ravine, she will soon see the stream. Then she can follow my footprints to the cave. I thought of all the other places on the island. I needed good drinking water. I also needed to be near the cave where my boat was hidden. The ravine seemed to be the best place, and so I decided not to move. The moon was very full that night. I took a bag and went with Rontu to my hill. There was a big hole in the fence around my house. Rontu made no sound when we passed the house. I knew then that nobody was there. I filled the bag with seawater and shellfish, and we were back in the cave before morning. The seawater kept the shellfish fresh, and they lasted for many days. After that there was no light from the moon, so I could not see the way to the hill. Every day I collected plants before the sun came up. Later, the new moon came, and I was able to get more shellfish. I did not see any of the Alus. One day, though, I saw the girl's footprints in the ravine. But she did not come to the cave. The days seemed very long. Rontu was unhappy because he wanted to go out. I only let him go if I went too. He will surely smell the hunters and go to their tents, I thought. If he is an Aleph dog, he will remember them. Perhaps he will leave me, and not come back. The cave was dark even during the day. But I had some dried fish there, and so I made a few little lights. I was then able to begin making my feather skirt. The old grass skirt was easy to make, but I wanted a better one. I made the bottom part first and used 3 skins. The feathers lay across the skirt from left to right. Then I placed the other skins along the top. Here the feathers lay from top to bottom. I burned all the little fish. Then I worked outside the cave. In good light, it looked very pretty. It was black, but beautiful green and yellow colors shone through the black. The feathers seemed to be on fire. Rontu, I said happily. What do you think? Rontu put his head on one side and moved his tail. Then he lay down. I was holding the skirt in front of me when Rontu suddenly jumped up. There was the sound of steps near the stream. I saw the Aleph girl looking at me. My spear was by the mouth of the cave. The girl was quite near to me. I knew that I could kill her if I wanted to. After all, her people killed my people. But I did not move. The girl said something, and Rontu walked slowly towards her. The hair stood up on his neck, but he let her touch him. The girl made a sign with her hand. It seemed clear to me. She was trying to say that Rontu belonged to her. No. I cried. I picked up my spear. Then she made another sign. She was telling me that Rontu was mine. I was ready to throw the spear. She touched her own chest and said, Tutok. Then she looked at me. I did not tell her my name. I called Rontu, and he came back. The girl looked at him and then at me. She smiled. She was older than I was, but I was taller. She had a big face and small, very black eyes. Her teeth looked white when she smiled. I was holding the skirt. She touched it and said, Wincha. It was similar to the word, pretty, in our language. I held it up, so the light could shine through the skins. The girl touched it again. Wincha, she repeated. She wanted to hold the skirt, and I gave it to her. She put it in front of her and turned. The skirt seemed to move around her like water. It looked very beautiful. But I hated the alus, and I took it from her. Wincha, she repeated. It was very strange to hear another voice after all this time. Her words were good to hear. She moved towards the cave and said other words. She was asking if this was my home. No. I said quickly. I told her, in sign language, that my home was the other side of the island. I did not want her to bring the men here. She looked again at the cave, but she said nothing more about it. I held the spear, but I did not throw it. She touched my arm and smiled at me. I did not like the feel of her hand. Then she said a few more words, walked to the stream and drank. She left without a sound. Rontu did not try to follow her. I went into the cave and packed everything. I had all day because the men worked until the evening. By early evening I was ready. I carried 5 bags up the ravine and hid them. Then I returned for the last 2. On my way back I heard something and stopped. Rontu was listening too. Then I walked on very slowly. I stopped again near the mouth of the cave and looked inside. I was too frightened to go in, so I stepped back. And then I saw a string of black stones on the flat rock in front of my cave. I did not enter the cave or take the beads. I slept near the bags and returned to the cave the next day. I hid myself and watched the mouth of the cave. I stayed there all morning. At midday, the girl came back. She was singing, but she saw the stones and grew quiet. She looked into the cave and then went towards the stream. I jumped to my feet. Tutok, I cried, running down the ravine. Tutok. She waited. I ran to the rock and put on the beads. Wincha, she said. Wincha, I repeated. The word was strange on my tongue. Then I said the word, pretty, in our language. Wintai, she repeated and laughed. We sat on the rock. Then she told me her word for beads, and I told her mine. We learned the names for other things in both languages. The stream, the cave, a bird, the sun, the sky, Rontu asleep. We laughed because our words were all different. We played this game until the sun was low in the west. Then Tutok stood up and said goodbye. Mane, she said and waited. She wanted me to tell her name. One Parley, I answered. I did not tell her my secret name. Mane, One Parley, she said. Pa say no. Tutok, I replied. After she left, I went to the hill. I brought my 5 bags back to the cave. Tutok came again the next day, and the next. We learned many more words and laughed a lot. The sun moved fast across the sky. On the second day I told her my secret name. Karana, I said. Karana? She repeated. One Parley? I made a sign for no. I touched my chest again and said, Karana. Her black eyes opened wide, and she smiled slowly. Pa say no. Karana, she said. That night I began to make a present for her. It was a string of shells for her hair. I had to work for 5 nights before I finished it. And the work hurt my hands a lot. It looked very pretty when put it around her head. "Wincher," she said and held me tight. She was very pleased, and I felt very happy too. I forgot that my hands were hurting. Tutok came to the cave many times, but one morning she did not come. I knew that the hunters were getting ready to leave the island. I waited for her until the afternoon, and then I went to the hill. A strong wind was coming off the sea. The Aleph ship was there, but the men were not hunting. Boats were carrying the last otter skins from the beach. The ship will leave tomorrow morning, I thought. It was dark and cold when I returned to the ravine. I had no fear of the Alus now, and so I lit a fire. I cooked a meal of shellfish and plants for Rontu and me and for Tutok. I knew that Tutok could not come. But I put her food in front of the fire and waited. The wind made strange noises in the ravine. I did not eat the meal. Before the sun came up, I went back to the hill. There was less wind, but clouds covered this part of the island. I had to wait for a long time before the sun burned away the clouds. The sea was empty. The Aleph ship with its 2 red sails was no longer there. I thought of Tutok and our game with words. I thought of all the times that we sat together. I could hear her voice in my mind. I could see her black eyes shining when she laughed. Rontu was running after the birds and making a lot of noise. Shellfish were falling onto the rocks like rain. I could even hear the cries, far away, of the sea elephants. But I was thinking of Tutok, and the island seemed very quiet. Comprehension questions. 1. Where do the Aloids tents place? 2. How does Karana make lights? 3. When does Karana reveal her secret name to the girl? 4. What present does Karana make for the girl? 5. How can we tell from the story that the Aleph ship will leave in the morning? Quick competition. Read the sentences below and find the correct adjective, adverb, verb etc. used in the story. 1. The ravine seemed to be blank place, and so I decided not to move. Ordinary or the best. 2. I blank let him go if I went to. Only or always. 3. I went into the cave and packed blank. Nothing or everything. 4. We laughed because our words were all blank. Different or normal. 5. The wind made blank noises in the ravine. Standard or strange. Thank you for listening to this chapter. Now, read the comprehension questions again and try to find the answers in the story. Then, do the quick competition part. Also, the answers are in the explanation part of the video. Check out your answers over there. Moreover, don't forget to subscribe for the new episodes. If you like this chapter, click the like button. To make this project more effective and beneficial, let me know in the comments below.